Hey, I hope everyone is off to a pretty good start of the week here. For this week's article, I chose managing IT demand, and it kind of aligns nicely with our textbook chapter 18, where we learn a few different tools that help in managing IT demand. So, the article I've chosen is by Susan Cram, and she has a few ideas that align with the tools that we learn in our textbooks, but she also has a few that are different and kind of unique. So I hope you all really enjoy this. So the article just starts out with the importance of understanding how demand management is a fundamental prereq for all IT employees. She begins speaking with many different IT employees, and these employees are responsible for making sure that IT demand is balanced with the supply. She assumes these employees, understand the facilitation between a win-win handshake between IT and the business. But this is what gets interesting. She goes on to learn that she's dead wrong, and that they most definitely do not understand this. So uh, we learn this because she's facilitating a planning session with a IT employee for a Fortune 50 company. And hoping that these consultants, they would want to learn more about demand management issues and these opportunities. But instead, she sees that the accountant fires with a quick question, and the question is, what right does IT have to tell the or what right does the IT employee have to tell the business what they can and cannot have? And that's very interesting. It's interesting because this question, quite frankly, really stuns our author, and she, she begins to seem that a company of this caliber is using an outdated supply side tactic for the issue. That just doesn't really make sense, doesn't align. So, anyway, rather than coaching the consultant on new techniques, she sits and she listens to more of what the individual has to say. And the issue at hand seems to be a lack in a firm grasp of demand management, as well as its supporting mechanisms. So, after listening some more to the consultant speak about these outdated tactics, she just can't really take it anymore, and she goes into coaching mode, and she wishes that the consultant will just apply some of these new demand management mechanisms. And so then we learn about these new mechanisms, and the first of these is strategic IT planning, which we learn about in our textbook. And this mechanism is just simply used to help the strategy making process result in an unlimited amount of opportunities. So this mechanism is strictly for setting up new opportunities and growing. The next mechanism is portfolio management, and it's used to determine how much money the business should spend on various categories of IT-enabled business investments. This should typically result with a multi-year forecast of IT spending, and it's critical because it constrains overall demand and results in increased project inspection. Traditionally, this responsibility is given to a senior executive because of their knowledge and experience of the company's budget, but it's also been given to other executives, that is. The next mechanism it mentioned is financial planning, and this is important because this process is used to fill in details of who budgets for what and how much. And this is something that is briefly mentioned in our textbook, but it's not hit on much. So definitely important to note. This is usually responsible of the CFO, which makes perfect sense. The next mechanism is prioritization and sequencing, and this is not mentioned in our textbook, and this is extremely important because this is where demand management lives or dies, so she says. Effective governance is necessary to review various investment proposals, and if the government process is transparent, accessible, lean, and time-sensitive, then you have a better shot of gaining compliance from the organization and avoiding that spillover of demand into control channels, and that's what our author states. And I think she's spot on with that, and I think that's very, very important for us to know. And just lastly, she talks about value realization and accountability, and we learn that one of the best ways to manage demand is to require value commitments as a prereq to project funding. Thus, you can monitor value realization as part of the governance process. So, demand management is a recurring process that begins with strategic planning and ends with realization of value, while each step helps up the later stages for success. Thanks.